put on. Okay, so we're live. Checking really quickly on the YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's also live. Okay, so we're live on Facebook and we're live on YouTube. And I'm assuming that we're going to be live on Twitter also because I don't see any errors so far. Share. Alright, perfect. So how's it going, Bombay? Bombay, I hear, is rife with the COVID stats.
Yeah, but we have to hardly stepped out. Like maybe ginke 4 bar since the COVID situation. And it's
Okay.
been pouring today. Like last 2 days was really hot. Today it's again super cloudy. It has been very. I'm glad the rains are coming again. In fact, I was so fed up with the rains. Now I'm happy it's back because 2 days was super hot. So, I mean, COVID took care. It's everything is happening. Whatever you want, you have a V fast guy who's delivering stuff for you. So it's as convenient as it can get. Of course, when you want to shoot, then it becomes
Yeah.
something.
I mean, those things definitely come into play, trying to shoot or be around a lot of people, and especially the industry that, you are in, where manpower is like the end
Crucial.
all and be all.
Can't imagine a film set without a minimum of 50 people.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's not like, what we're doing right now. अपने घर पे बैठ के. Good, good. Should get us somewhere. So you got 4 more minutes, and then I'll start with the questions. And I have your bio up over here, so I'm just gonna read through it as the intro.
Cool. So how have your sessions been like last? How many times have you done? I'm your third guest.
This is the fourth. The first one was on city bike riding with this guy called Kunal Guha, who I fondly call Bike Dada in Calcutta, because he formed one of the first biking clubs in the city, and the guy knows his stuff to such great details that almost everyone runs to him for help when they're like really stuck. So that was the first one. It was just an idea that came up, and then from there, after that, I did one session with Swati, who's basically, you know into this whole idea of keeping fit every day, and she's been running for the last 800 days every day.
Wow.
Yeah, I know distance is not a big deal. So for her, I think what is really impressive is the commitment. Distance is not, I think, what we should question is the commitment. And I think she does minimum 5 kilometers per day.
I would like
And
to take on some goal like that. Like I did this 100 sketch project. I'd like to do the 100-day run. Sure, that'd be fun. So she goes, runs, and comes back. And then what does she? What was her whole? Are we on? Okay.
yeah,
No.
we're on.
Oh God, we're discussing all this online.
Yeah, this is online.
Oh God. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it would be. So what was the final?
Oh, and
Like
sorry,
the
and after
art.
Swati, after Swati, we did Nirmal Agarwal. He's well-known student counselor for international admissions. But Nirmal has a very different approach to the whole thing. And I've known Nirmal for a while, so I thought Nirmal would be a good take on this, because he's not the kind of guy who's always pushing you to be the best of the best of the best. Like so he has a different take on the whole thing. So that was pretty interesting.
Nice. Oh. I would love to meet a girl who did 800 days of running.
Yeah, I'll connect you with Swati. Usually,
Yeah.
Swati does drop in and she has a few messages here and there during the shows. But if she does, I'll connect you. Swati, if you're listening, drop in a message and I'll connect you with Aarti and you guys can have a good conversation. Who knows? She might even cast you in a movie next time. I don't know. Aarti can do anything. All right, let's start with this. Okay. So, Aarti, thank you so much for joining in. And for our viewers, I'm really quickly going to go over her bio. And after that, we get into a bunch of questions. So, Aarti Bagdi has won the Filmfare 9 International Film Festival Awards, which include the Grand Prix at the largest children film festival of Japan, second best international film, and the best actress by HAKIS, Ministry of Culture of Turkey. India, US, and Vietnam. She's also won an award from the government of India's NIRDPR for her films in the last couple of years. They have been Khamaka, Udnedo, and Free, Fair, and Fearless, respectively. Feature-length films: the anthology Shuruaat Ka Interval with PVR Select, as director. Bomberia. This is the one I always screw up. Bomberia, is it? How do you say that?
Bomberia.
Bomberia, featuring Radhika Apte as a co-writer and associate producer, streams on Netflix. So that's something that all of us can have immediate access to. She also co-directed a feature-length documentary on the sky-clad monks called Vidyodaya, which found about 300 plus screenings across the world, which is like incredible. Like 300 screens. That's,
Yeah, that
amazing.
was it was organized by their community, the Jain Digambar community, all over the.
Okay. And she began her career with Rashi Production and Mukta Arts Limited, and has about 18 years plus of experience in the Indian and the working stint with the Japanese film industry. Recently, in the COVID world, produced and hosted a series of Women in Business of filmmaking for a digital network, and directed a film titled Prada with actors and crew within her
Parda.
neighborhood. Parda. Now, this has been you kind of roped in the people from your neighborhood. You didn't. Okay, so
Yeah.
you
So
live.
my DOP is my neighbor and friend. Two of the actors, we're not friends. We just got to know them. They were also free in lockdown. We also in free in lockdown. So you come together. So yeah, it was quite a experience.
So making the most of people around you.
Yeah.
That's cool. The COVID
Actually, and
world made
getting to know
Aarti.
the ones who are close to you physically, actually, getting to know that has been the thing. You don't even know who's around you.
Oh yeah, in Bombay you don't even know who your neighbor is. So I
Yeah.
kind of agree to that.
I
So
mean,
the
I'm one
COVID
of
world has
those
made
who doesn't do that.
the COVID world has made Aarti pick up her pencil and discover the sketch artist hidden in her. She took the 100 sketch challenge, which led to being featured in India Today magazine. And about 35 of her artworks have found takers, and now she keeps some time aside every day for her artwork. So that's impressive. During COVID times, you find out that you have a artist hidden
Seriously.
inside.
Yeah. I'm so thrilled that I discovered it at this age. When you need to discover, you discover, I guess. I would love to discover something like this at the age of 50 years. Tagore started painting at the age of 60. Like after, so I saw this in a play on Rabindranath Tagore, that he fell in love with this Austrian woman who couldn't read any of his writings, and he was so disheartened that she can't get she can't get him if she can't read the writing. So he started painting for her just to communicate with her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's quite something.
So let's get down to the questions, and this is going to be all over the place. So I really don't know. I just read through the bio and everything poured out, and I just wrote down everything. So tell me something. How does it feel to be on a live show that's streaming on multiple platforms at the same time?
I'm okay with it actually because I've been in your seat, so so I've conducted these live shows. Yeah, and actually I've done a few sessions with Annapurna Film School and with IIT and WW screenings, and so it's easy for me, so it's okay. I'm
Okay.
at. I think I'm okay. Let's see how your questions go.
Okay. So right now, there's nothing in your control. The lighting, the sound may be at subpar, the framing is, limited to whatever you've put in front of yourself. And we are really at the mercy of the bandwidth gods. For someone used to calling the shots behind the camera all the time, you know, sitting in front of the camera and, you think you're going to be in your elements and just start ignoring it after a few minutes, or is it still going to play at the back of your mind? God, the framing is not good. God, the lighting is horrible.
No, I ignore it. I'm not too conscious of the camera at all, actually. So for
Okay.
me, it's just part and parcel of because that's the way. Otherwise, how do you direct people, right? How do
Mhm.
you can't be conscious? Then there's inhibition. You have to be uninhibited when you want to create the best out of things around you. So yeah, it's best to not be conscious and just treat it as a part of your surroundings.
Fair enough. So,
Yeah.
when does your family move from Nagpur to Chennai?
Actually, my maternal side was Nagpur. I was born in
Okay.
Nagpur, but I was
Okay.
raised in Chennai. Yeah, so
Okay.
paternal
So,
side was fully in Chennai.
you've
So it's
always
around
been in Chennai, you're just born in Nagpur.
yeah,
Okay.
and every summer holiday was Nagpur and Bombay like that. So
Got it.
yeah, and then yeah, so Chennai was home ground for nearly 20 years up to my graduation.
Hmm.
And uh, after that, I moved to Pune. I did my post graduation in Symbiosis Institute of Mass Communication, which was an advanced diploma of all sorts. So I thought I'll be
Yeah, don't
doing
worry.
journalism.
All that's coming up. I've got it all
Yeah,
covered.
yeah, okay.
So, how good were you, or how were you as a student during your time at Good Shepherd Convent? Were you like one of the backbenchers, like I always was, or how did you
I was
fare in
average. I
school?
think there were some good years, and then there were not some. There were some average years. Sorry.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. So I think junior school was excellent for me. I did very well during junior school. Then I had a few weak years in the middle where I was. So I think I could have been better. I was
Hmm.
bright, but I think I was not capitalizing myself too well enough
Okay.
during those years. And yeah, and then I think again I emerged better in college.
Hmm.
I think first year college onwards, I became better as a student and even generally as a performer. So I think from 7th to 12th was a very above average kind of a situation, like 75 plus, 80 plus, not like 90s and all that. So somewhere,
75, 80, that, I mean, even if I put the aggregate of my three terms, I wouldn't score 80.
no, but you know, you're not a topper. So yeah, it's just that. You're just then doing mediocre stuff.
Okay, so should I assume that like every good Marwari, the bachelor in business administration was a predetermined choice?
No, no, no. So I took up science in 11th and 12th. I had like this determination to go on my father's path because was a fantastic engineer, had done AC Tech and IFT and all that. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought that I had his genes and I should continue doing the chosen thing of being an engineer, and then I realized I just don't have the brains for science, and that was a bad decision. 11th and 12th was a very bad decision. I would have easily taken like history or English or something like that instead of science, but I don't know what made me take science up. And I think I floundered quite a bit in those 2 years. Like I was not I had to really work hard. Like it was not easy, it was not natural for me to be good at science. I figured. Then I decided, no, I cannot take 5 years of engineering and studying physics and chemistry again and again. I was like, dude, this is not me, and maths. And I was like, let me just jump into something else. So there was a new course that opened up that time in Chennai. It was called Bachelor of Business Administration. It was a very new graduation course that was not available all over India. It was just, I think, in 2 or 3 universities. So I just jumped at it. I said, "Chalo, isme." I mean, उस time तो क्या है? People were allowing you to split from science to commerce. They were, not so strict about certain things. So I
Right.
easily, so I got that seat, and then I just went in, and there, of course, that I did. I was very happy I did that because that really helped me. So
So then you finish off your BBA and then you head on for your post graduation, for which you chose Symbiosis. Any particular reason why you picked Symbiosis over the other colleges that were available for your diploma in mass comm?
So no, again, during that time, you had those two traditional choices of doing an MBA as well as
Right.
yeah. So I mean, of course, I also studied CAT and all gave so many entrance exams and this and that. And then there were a couple of universities in MBA that I got through. One was
Mm-hmm.
in Chennai, only in the college that I was studying. I topped that entrance exam. But then I think but I still chose to do, there was mass comm also available in the Chennai college, and I still chose to do the mass comm. I attended 2 weeks class, and then I got this call from Symbiosis that you've been selected, you've topped in the writing print journalism wala section, so we'll take you as a
Mm-hmm.
print student. So
Got it.
my mother was confused. She didn't want me to go to Pune. Then, and we'd already paid up for fees in Chennai.
In Chennai.
So then we went. I said, at least come and meet my principal here in Chennai. And my
Right.
principal encouraged my mother. Said, no, no, what exposure she'll get in Pune, she won't get here in Chennai. Send her to send her to Pune. And then and another sister of mine, Nalini, she convinced my mother that no, you should send her. Pune is another level of education. So
Right.
then, and I was most attracted because one of my mamaji's family was there, and three of my cousins whom I'm really close to. I wanted to have that experience in my life of living with that family because I was very close to all five of them.
Got it.
So that's one of
So
the
then
reasons.
you had family to help you around in Pune. It wasn't like,
Yeah, yeah. So I was living with family. I was not living as
PG
a
and all.
student.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. So
All that
there
started in
is
Bombay.
okay. So there is that story in your college days that you were on stage with Tom Alter. Tell us about it.
Oh, right. Shit, yeah. Oh, that was funny. It was great. So Tom Walter had come as one of the guest lecturers in our college, and it was just fabulous to see me so involved and so intense and this and that. Then he just threw a question open in the class. Two people can come and do one improv session with me. So I just
Mm-hmm.
naturally put my hand up, and he called me. And so the improv session, he gave me a brief that you are my daughter, and I've come to tell you that I'm marrying again. You've just lost your mother, I've just lost my wife. And I'm coming and telling you I'm getting married again. And how are you going to take it? Let's just work on that thing.
It was a complete
And
improv that was going
yeah,
on.
completely improv. So I uh, I realized I was dramatic, so I had the dramatic element in me. So I went all. It was like a class of 100, or it was seniors, juniors, everyone combined, and I think it went off decently well because I didn't realize. Again, I think I forgot. I was in the moment. I got absorbed as that girl who's lost her mother and her father's marrying again, and this. And there was a glass of water kept on the table. I threw the glass of water. And everyone was amazed that she's just not bothered and she's doing her, performing how it needs to be done. And I think the idea was he'd given me a little brief where he told me that he wants me to be suspicious, okay, but it went in such a way that it became more like I was the victim, and he was kind enough to take on the role of being the negative part, where he actually wanted me to be the negative person in the relationship. So it
Got
was
it.
nice, and then it just turned around. The whole improv session went like completely opposite of what he had planned. So it was good to, and he was just letting me take on the role the way I wanted to. So that was
Good.
nice. And then yeah, it gave me a nice note also after that.
Fun. So now, you grew up in a joint family in Chennai, and joint families back in those days. Nowadays, it's very hard to come across joint families, but back in those days, joint families usually have been completely an orchestrated chaos with the siblings. How many siblings were you guys in the family? Like the whole
So we
family?
were 8 of us.
Oh dear God.
9 of us. Yeah, we were that many, and we had 3 cows, and
Okay.
yeah, so we and 8 adults. So it was a good and staff of another 6, 7 people. So it was a good big family living together of 25 people under one roof, including the staff and house help and all that. So yeah, it was. So I was very close. A week apart is my sister Pooja, my
Okay.
chachi's daughter. So we two grew up together, same class. We were given the same clothes. We were like treated as twins. So yeah, it was always. And Pooja was a bright child. She was like she was the topper. She didn't need to possibly read anything twice over. She would just read it once and it would stay in her head. And I had to
She's one
compete
of
with that
those.
all my life.
Damn it.
So yeah. I still mock her about it.
So I would take it you were all plus minus a couple of years, all of you,
Yeah.
all the
So my
siblings.
own brother is 5 years older to me, and the eldest is Anu Didi. She's in Calcutta, so she's 6 years older to me. And there's another one, Kavita Didi, who's 8 years older than me, I think. And she actually took care of me and Pooja. So we had a huge influence from her. I don't remember sleeping or getting hugged by my mother for the first 7, 8 years of my life because I think we were all the time with Kavita Didi. She was this military woman in our life for both me and Pooja. She would wake us up at 5. We had to go for a run. We had to come back. We had to have 3 glasses of milk. We had to have palak. We had to do all those things that kids don't like to do. And if we don't do it, we would get like 2 slaps and we would be dunked inside the tank. Didn't say anything against us. So yeah. So it was quite a
Crazy.
nightmare to live under her. But now we to take her case happily.
So then you finished off your education from Pune, and then around that time through St. Voices, you had to have an internship. Now, was this internship mandatory or was it something you opted for?
No. So everyone did an internship. There were two internships that were mandatory, and the third internship was hopefully supposed to convert to a job or whatever. Yeah, there were 3 internships actually. So for
So this
me,
is
the
the
second
intern.
internship, the first
Yeah.
internship was with Indian Express. That was actually compulsory for the entire 100 to do one print internship. So everyone, and that time India had gone into elections. India was in elections mode, so we had to do a print internship during that time. So I did with New Indian Express in
Okay.
Chennai. And then I came to Bombay, and then my internship with Rajshri Productions actually led to a job.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you. Your internship with Rajsi Production, how long was it, the internship period?
So it was 2 months, July, August, yeah.
Okay.
2000 of July and August, yeah.
Okay.
But it was
So,
enough for me to realize that this is what I want to do.
okay. So was it a paid internship? Because, I mean,
I didn't expect it to be a paid internship, but they were really kind and they said, no, you're coming, going. I used to be using that time. I was in love with the Bombay bus transport system. They were always on
best.
time. They were best, always clean. They were so lovely, and I was in Bombay monsoon, so it was just wonderful to be like using the buses during that time. And I was always against the traffic. That time I was living with my mamaji in Charni Road, so and had to
Okay.
come to Prabhadevi. So then it was always nice. It was always a good drive down. And so yeah, those. So they were like, no, you're paying to come, go, and little. So we should pay you. So yeah, it ended up being a pay. I was one of the 2 or 3 interns who got paid in the internship.
Okay, good. So that's good. So now, for someone who was never exposed to the glitter and the glamour of the industry, how do you go about coming to terms with this whole new universe in the first couple of days of your internship? I mean, you could have probably been running into some celebrity or someone whose name you had obviously heard from the industry. Like, was it like all shock and awe of like seeing them,
No,
or?
not at all. In fact, because we were in the there was no film on floor at that time when I was doing an internship. It was more scripts were on and it was more pre-production. I'm very grateful that there was no film on flow. Otherwise, I would have just been like flowing away with the film. For me, it began with actually storytelling, falling in love with the craft of a story, what story to tell for films. So, those kind of basic grounding stuff was happening rather than actually the glitz and glamour. If the shoot was on, I'm sure I would have gone with the flow with like, oh, it's so glamorous to be on a shoot and all that. But I think for me, I'm glad, I'm fortunate that that was the time that happened to be in the company that I actually understood filmmaking at a very basic level. What is scene writing? What is film writing? So those things actually made, when that was exposed to me, I actually fell in love with filmmaking. So that's how this is how a film is made. Otherwise, you actually, when you view a film, you're viewing it for your favorite actors. Very rarely you will possibly have enjoyed a whole story as such at that age, especially. You're just exposed to one particular kind of thinking. But with that intro, it really opened up, and I'm glad it happened the way it did. I mean, I'm so grateful to Mr. Rajkumar Bharjatia. He was like such a powerful influence in my life. I mean, yesterday's teachers didn't know more. So, I mean, I think I wrote the longest letter to him after finishing my internship. Like, I had never met someone like him. I'd never ever like had the encounter of being this role model that he was, the kindest human being, and just made me feel like I was his daughter and just comfortable, and it was just too good.
So I guess it obviously means a lot for you because you came into an industry with no hooks or no connections, and for lack of a better word, you're a complete outsider. So this was basically something that galvanized everything for you.
I mean, I couldn't have imagined a better start. I'm sure I wouldn't have gotten into this field if it wasn't for Aarti Productions.
Okay. So after this internship with Rashi, you decide to, get in this industry for the long haul. So what are the first couple of years like, in the city with, like I said, no connections, no hooks, and you're trying to get a job in an industry which is so elusive and so, I don't know if, so closed doors, it's like a private club of sorts.
Yeah, very true. So, so luckily, like, because my internship led to, like, at the end of the internship, Ratsa was like, why do you need to go back, finish your course? You just continue working with us. I said, no, I should finish my course. I have one more year left. Like such a traditional, I said, "Okay, I काम पे लग जाओ अभी पढ़ना ही है." I said, नहीं, पढ़ाई तो खत्म करेंगे. So then, finished, and then I immediately joined them as soon as my course got over, exams got over. April, I joined them in April, and worked with them for 2 years. Immediately got onto on a film set. Suraj sir's film was going on floor during that time, so I joined them as an assistant director. There were 3 other batchmates who had also got placed in Rashtriya Production, so they also joined on set as assistant directors. I was living with 2 other SIMC batchmates, both were CNBC journalists, Shweta and Anu, whom I'm still very, very close to. And so yeah, it began. It was interesting for the first 2 months. I was staying with my mamaji, and then of course I had to decide to move out because you can't be living with your uncle and coming and going as you please, and you know how films are. So had to then, luckily Anu and Shweta were like, come, you stay with us, and then I moved in with them. And it was first we lived in this one room in Khar in PG with this Christian auntie. She was quite something. Felicity Park in Khar. So yeah, then finally we moved out from 6 months. We were there. Then we found this really big two-bedroom hall kitchen in Bandra at like the most throwaway price possible. We were 3 girls. We couldn't believe it. First, when we walked into the house, I was like, Shweta, no, this is like such a dump. Shweta's like, Aarti, shut up. Just imagine the whole place clean. I said, yeah, okay, fine. So I gave it to her vision. And we're so glad we did that because that place was massive. After a point, after 3 years, at one point there was 6, 7 of us living in that house. It was that huge for us to allow that girls to come in. I mean, we did, whoever was our friend, we allowed them to come in before they wanted to move out, kind of a thing. Yeah, so yeah, that was great actually to have got that. It was like in a very pretty spot in Bandra, in reclamation, in like the heart of everything. So it was great. Like, so it opened up many things for me in a way that I think living with friends, living on your own, managing your own money, and then even if I'm overspending, then I'm checking with my dad. Is it okay if I can invest in these curtains for the house? He's like, yeah, it's okay. So things like that. You manage, you learn, and then I didn't know jack shit about cooking. So my friends were laughed at me like I didn't even know how to boil potatoes. And then
This
at
is
one
what I
point,
feel that everybody should be forced to be in like a PG of sorts at least for 2 years. That just kind of sets them up for everything.
absolutely.
So during this time, was there any reservation from the family in the early days? Because Arey, she's living alone. Arey, she doesn't know how to cook. Every day she's calling and asking for recipes. And we didn't have video calls and WhatsApp and all that jazz at that point of time. So how did you manage to hold the fort?
I used to write a lot of letters. I think my letter
Okay.
writing took me a long, long way. A lot of letters to every member in the family, sometimes my grandmother, sometimes my mother. So they were happy that, okay, she's keeping us informed. And, that's all I think they wanted. And I think every year my negotiation tactics grew stronger and stronger. That, no, let me do one more film. Let me do So yeah, it was just, I think it was just as simple as staying in touch. If you don't stay in touch, then it becomes worrisome for all of them. So then it was just like,
Fair
and
enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. So I know for a fact that this industry, the early days are quite it's quite a struggle, and I would believe that the pay is very minimal for Bombay standards in these early days. So looking back, how did you manage? I know you had two roommates, but then how do you personally manage your whole situation over there?
So I always used only the public transport. I always used only the bus. And there was a
Okay.
fixed bus. Then when we're shooting, we earn more money. So shoots
Yeah,
would
of
always,
course.
yeah, yeah. So the basic stipend, yeah, I just covered our rent and covered my living costs. So that much it was taken care of. And luckily, because I was so close to Raj sir and Surut sir, I think
Hmm.
I got a few uh, ways of actually getting the best. I mean, I was getting the best within that little money that I was having. So
Hmm.
it was all right for me. And since though my other two girlfriends who went CNBC, their salary kept increasing. Our salary didn't
Hmm.
increase. In fact, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't increase. So they were in fact being given stock options and all that. So हमको तो वो सब कुछ था ही नहीं. We were like, okay, जो आ रहा है उसको save करो. We have to manage in this much. So, yeah. Yeah, but I
So,
was good at saving. I think I was good.
so here you are. You've settled in Bombay. You've jumped in the industry, lock, stock, barrel, and this is seeming like something that you decide this is going to be for the long haul. Now, did you jump in with an end goal or end vision? Like people say you should have a 5-year, 10-year, 5, 7, and a 10-year plan in mind. Did you have anything of that sort going on?
No, actually, for me, it was like, okay, Surat sir, whom I assisted, he had said that you need to be an assistant director of two films. Two films is enough. After that, you should start planning a feature. So then, when I finished my second film with Mr. Ghai, which was Kisna, I took a 1 year break. I went back to Chennai to figure out what I want to do, and in that much time, I tried to write a script. I also assisted Rajiv Menon in Chennai for 3 months. And then
Hmm.
I came back to Bombay. I joined Mukta Arts again. I continued working on my script, and I was talking to Rajshri Productions, and there was always this thing that this is a home company, and I should be making a film for Rajshri. So at some point, because they trust me, and I think I want to work with them. So it was there was no end, like there was no year plan, but it was always like, if this script goes through, then I should be able to make a film with Rajshri because I was quite close to them. So
Okay.
it's just that the script didn't go through, but Suritsa felt that yeah, she should direct because I have seen her how she narrates, and she
Yeah.
has that thing that yeah, she can direct. So that was
Okay.
one of the motivating factors to hear from your mentor and director that okay, he does believe in me.
Okay. So when was you already mentioned the first was, you worked with Subhash Ghai in the movie Krishna, but when was the first experience that you came across Mukta Arts? I mean, in your timeline, was it just like suddenly a project came along and you went for it, or did
So
they
I
search you
finished
out?
so I finished Rajshri Productions, that film, and then typically once you finish a film, you're supposed to move on and you're supposed to find other projects.
Next
So I was
project,
not
yeah.
too sure. Yeah, so I was, and Rajshri that time had no film going on floor. So the idea was then you have to get out. My sister Meghna was working in Mukta Arts Limited at that time as a writer in the writing room. So she said that Mr. Guy is setting up a team. Why don't you come and meet the associate director Jaideep said. So I went and met him. Jaideep was like, of course we will get you to meet Mr. Guy. It was just like, okay, I got to know that this project is looking for assistant directors, and then I ended up going there, and then of course then the
Okay,
placement
so
happened.
that's how you get into Mukta. So
Yeah.
okay, so really quickly, viewers who are watching, if you have any questions for Aarti, do drop in a comment, and I'll be able to pull you on the screen with us. That way, you can interact with her live. So if you want to do that, drop in a comment on any of the social medias where we are, and I'll be able to pull you back in over here. So Aarti, today you have a fairly close working relationship with Mr. Ghai and Mukta Arts, and this relationship obviously has been built over a number of years of working on various projects under various scope of job roles. Okay, what kind of responsibilities are you trusted with now when you work with Mr. Ghai's products or with Mukta Arts?
So till before lockdown, like nearly last 2 years, 3 years, we did a lot of stuff for Whistling Woods International, where we created an entire archive of educational master classes with Mr. Ghai on all his films. Like we shot like each film has been analyzed. So he has a whole roster of some 16 super hits,
Yep.
16 classic films out of the 1920 that he's directed. So we have analyzed why those films worked, or how they ended up working, what was the special point, and if the films failed, why did they fail? So things like that. That's the whole 16-part series that we actually reconnected on back in 2017. And then along with he's been developing quite a few stories and concepts for the past 3-4 years. So I joined the writing room, like I started developing stuff for him in the past 1 year. But now in the COVID situation, everything's been put at the back burner. So yeah, so since March that we haven't done any development work for Muktads. But yeah, but a lot of
Okay.
stuff was developed in the last 1.5 years with him, me personally, and he himself with his team has been developing stuff for the past 5 years. So
All right. Fantastic. So
a
that's
lot of
interesting.
their own, a lot of web series, a lot of whatever the market needs right now.
Okay. So the movie industry is mostly work for hire. Okay, that is something which I think is very evident once you get in the industry. You realize that, and so in the industry, what would you say the yardstick is? Is the yardstick is that you're as good as your last mistake, or you're as good as your last success?
The industry is you're good as your last Friday, actually. Because that's the saying in the industry. So what have
What
you
does that
released?
mean? You're good as the last
So
Friday. What do you mean?
Friday is the release that happens, right? In films.
Ah,
So as good as your last Friday. So
okay.
yeah,
So your last
as
release.
good as your last release. So it's a success or a fail. It's
That is so messed up. That
yeah.
is so messed up because the movie could fail clearly because of somebody else's mistake, and you could have done like the best, job. But oh
Yeah.
well, it is what it
But
is.
I've not been so much in mainstream, Rahul, in the last 5-6 years. I've been doing a lot of offbeat stuff. The last feature film that I was actually a part was of Bomberia. And
Mm-hmm.
after Bomberia, it's been documentary. I mean, even before Bomberia, since actually 2011-12, I've actually taken a slightly alternate course. Bomberia happened in the middle. I was doing, but I did a lot of short films. I did a lot of. I did one I did a working stint with the Japanese film industry and a largest ad film production house called Aoi Pro. So,
Okay.
uh, yeah, so it's been a slightly varied curve for me in the last. But my first 10 years was so well grounded that, yeah, I understand how the industry works. But I've not done anything concretely in feature film business in the last few years. Mumbai was the last, actually.
Okay. So now what I realized while going through your IMDb profile, you have an IMDb profile, you know that, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be like, oh, really? So in the last
Got it.
18 years,
You're taken seriously only if you have an IMDb profile. Sadly, that is the case.
okay, fantastic. So kids who are out there who want to make it in the movie industry, Facebook is out of the question, LinkedIn is out of the question, your Instagram
I am.
following is out of the question. What really matters is IMDb. So as if social media was not enough, here's one more thing you need to worry about, okay? And this is coming from experience. I'm not saying this. Somebody who's been in the industry for nearly 20 years is saying this. So you have a 18 plus years experience in the industry, and from 2007, as the listing is, you were listed as a miscellaneous crew. Then you became a writer around 2011ish. You even acted in a movie in 2012. And then from there, you moved on to a second unit AD, and then finally becoming a director of a couple of super hit movies in the towards the last bit of your career. This has really been a long time coming. All these various jobs, was it just to get experience of these different facets before you drop the anchor and say, okay, this is what works for me? Or was it that you were just trying to stay relevant with the end goal in sight?
So yeah, so the idea was to get a bird's eye view of everything, and
Okay.
because as a director, you need to be uh, you're accountable to lots of departments. You're handling like everybody is looking at you to tell them what to do. So if you don't know what that department is working, how is that department working, it becomes you won't be able to tell them, you won't be able to lead them. So the idea was to actually do two films purely as an assistant director, and after that, get a bird's eye view in production in all aspects. Be it in one film, I was doing handling actors' dates, handling actors. In another film, I was handling costumes. In another film, I was handling just basic production. So in another film, I was doing post. So things like that. When you get that kind of a perspective, then it becomes much more easier for you to set out when you do a feature film that you need to have. Uh, at least I feel that you at least understand what is happening around you. Of course, each project has its own challenges, but you at least know what you're doing, and uh, yeah. So the writer in 2011 was a fluke thing, something called Jana Pehchana. It was not like I was not supposed to write. It was not. It's not my film. It's just that I gave a basic story idea to Rajshri, to Raj sir, and he felt that no, it was such a because he was struggling. He was not cracking the idea. So I said, sir, what if you do this? So then he was like, "Arey," so he gave me a writer credit. I said, but I've not done anything on this film. So sometimes these credits, are just random. It happens many a times in the industry that you have written, but you don't take the credit, you give it to someone else. You have not written, but you get the credit. Like it's just as random as that. So yeah,
That
so I
definitely makes me a little uncomfortable knowing that you
yeah,
could have
yeah,
worked for
yeah.
something but not gotten credit. That's messed up.
Yeah.
But
So I
I
mean, I
guess.
told him like, no, you don't understand. Your idea has actually nailed everything. So that was very random. He gave me the credit. He gave me the credit. After that, of course, the short films that I made, I did with it's all mine. I know these are my babies. Like Time, which is at 30 million views, and things like that. Those that I
Mhm.
put my entire heart and soul. So yeah.
So you
Random
said when
like
you were when you were giving the answer to this question when I asked, was it like dipping your feet in every facet or trying to be relevant in the industry? You said you started off saying that as a director. So that means the director was always your end goal, is it?
yeah.
So
That
you
was the
always knew
idea.
that. Okay.
That I want to direct, but then at some point in 2000, very candid feeling I'm sharing is that between 2013 and 16, maybe I felt that I need to relook. Maybe I don't need to be a director. Maybe I can just be a writer. Maybe I can be a producer. You think that maybe you're not cut out to be a director. Things like that also happen.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then, then you end up, then suddenly you make a khamakha, which happens where everything is falling magically in place. And
yeah.
it turns out to be so good that it goes on to win a Filmfare
Hmm.
because everything fell in place. Then again, sometimes you wonder, it's like, okay, is it just like a one film wonder? And then,
Yeah.
so you just carry on.
So
Then
after
you
being
just continue
immersed,
doing what you love doing what you do. So and now I'm very open. I'm very receptive to, okay, in this project, I would like to just contribute as a writer. In this project, I would like to be a good pushing force. I will work as a producer. Like, where I'll make things happen. So this project I really want to direct because this is like close to the heart. So things like that.
so you did answer one of my questions. I was going to be like, was there any phase where you felt like you were in the wrong, you're wearing the wrong shoe, and you did say that, that kind of goes through, and it definitely does go through a lot with the creative genre because it's just how the monster is. And after being immersed in the Indian movie industry for a decade and a half, you get to work in the Japanese industry. Okay, now I'm purely asking this because I have immense respect for the Japanese culture. So share your experience simply on the work culture between the two industries.
So yeah, it was just fantastic. Like I was so happy I did it, and I regret not moving to Japan earlier. Like I could have easily moved immediately after I got married 2010. I just gone there for 3 months, came back. No, I have projects here, I have to finish stuff here, but everything got let go here. Then I finally had to move to Japan because it was like high time. Husband is living there, can't just be keeping this long distance thing. So I
Mhm.
moved, and it turned out to be so wonderful because first 4 months I was doing my own independent stuff only. I was trying to make short films in Japan also, and then I landed up this job in Aoi Pro, which was the largest and the most international film production house over there. And they had
Mhm.
offices all over Asia. So here was this Indian girl walking in, and I had this American boss, Julie Thomas, who was just like marvelous. Like I really love her so much. So she took me in under her wing, and I immediately got a job there within like 3-4 weeks because they felt, okay, here's an Indian girl in Tokyo, maybe she can do research for us to open an office in India.
Mhm.
So, and then it so happened that I started doing up and down Mumbai, Tokyo, and I was doing a lot of research for them, and I was doing something completely different from what I was doing before. So this was more like consolidation, going interviewing CCOs, CEOs, putting stuff together, making the Japanese company understand how they could be of value here in India. So it was. I was glad I took that break off from films. Like I wanted to detach, so I did that, and the detachment helped. And I was also learning Japanese as a language. So I feel, those 3-4 years really changed the way I started seeing things. It was only, I was not this frog in the well. I saw suddenly I'm out, and like I like I'm like, suddenly the world has opened up in a brand new way to me, and I'm seeing content in a different way. My husband is fully into world cinema, so he was showing me content in a different way. So I was,
Got it.
yeah, all that actually helped me evolve into something more receptive and open to different kinds of content and not be stuck on mainstream content.
No, but that
So
still
yeah,
doesn't answer my question about the different culture of the working styles, the
ah,
working
there is
culture
very
of the
different.
Indian
The work
industry as
culture,
opposed to the Japanese
yeah,
work culture.
there are many things like uh, like they had this thing called tying the roots before a meeting. So we
Okay.
all had to, yeah, so we all had to agree, like if we are three people who are working on a presentation together, I have two seniors above me, we all had to agree on one presentation before going to the senior. We couldn't be doing our own thing in front of the senior. We had to stick to script. So that
Right.
kind of methodicalness that was there, they had a term for it. It's called tying the roots. So I
Okay.
think that was something very new to me. And then secondly, they're so particular about time, about discipline, about being proper, about. But for me, because I was so this, I keep cracking this insight to a lot of people. and who know me that I was close to Raj sir. That for me it was dealing with the Japanese was dealing with 1,000 Rajsas. So Rajsa was just as particular. It was like I was prepped to train under Rajsa to be dealing with the Japanese. It was just so it was like very expected. Okay, this is what Rajsa always wanted. This particular and this methodical. So I'll just stick to that. So,
So like, being on time, not using your phone when you're traveling on the train,
yeah, yeah,
senior first, and they always follow this hierarchy without being told what to do. And I don't know, it's just that they're just mad people is what I call them. Though it is one of the
yeah.
countries that I definitely want to live for a very long time in, but it is what it is.
So there were this
So
small thing, like if you appear 5 minutes before your meeting, you do not end up before that. You have to reach sharp at 12. Delay to chhod jo, even if you reach earlier, you cannot just go, I'm early. No, you're discomforting the other person. That person is not prepared to receive you 5 minutes late. So you better wait out in the building and reach exactly at 12. So yeah, things
crazy.
like that.
So, on a serious note, you achieved the highest award that the Indian film industry has to offer. Okay, a Filmfare for the best director for your independent in 2017 called Kamaka. It has really been a long journey. 18 plus, 15 plus years getting to this point. Okay, you got the Filmfare, you did the award, you did the whole glitz and the glamour. How well did you sleep that night?
Oh, actually, the award was announced a week before the actual ceremony. So the day the award was going to be announced, because that was done digitally on Facebook, I think the entire team, my entire producing team, Hamara movie, everybody was glued to the screen. That which because they had other films also. They had 3 other films, I think, competing. So and then when Kabir Khan announced, and the winner is Aarti S. Bagdi, everybody just shut up the scream and everybody started calling each other. No, they didn't even wait for like Kamaka to come. Just that. My first reaction was, okay, let me call mom, and of course I called mom. And she was, of course, so emotional. I think all this is a high for the family more than the person.
Yeah.
Family and friends who rooted for you. I think it's actually a big high for them.
So you went for the award ceremony, where we saw photos of you with the black lady officially in your hand, a week later. So that's what I'm asking about. You come back home and then like finally it's in your hand. That whole week was probably the longest wait, I would guess. But finally getting it in your hand, and then do you sleep well, or do you just like
So
so
I
much
came back
energy?
home only at 5 in the morning after the ceremony, because we got the award at around 2 in the night.
Yeah.
So naturally I had to. I was very sleepy, but throughout the night. So that's a given from me. I cannot stay up beyond 12. So yeah. So then anyway, so got the award, took the photos in that sleepy state, came back home, and was home by 5:36. My husband was waiting. My music director Amit had come down, so he was also waiting. So we were just like, we did this thing there where you put the lady next to the TV, and we
Yeah.
just watching it like the lady's home.
Man, she's just gonna say something.
Like it was just like I think it was too overwhelming an experience to like see a black lady in your house.
All right, and the next morning, was it just another day, or does the coffee taste sweeter?
No, no, no. So a lot of calls, a lot of photos being shared. That the lady send us the lady's photo. How heavy is it? How light is it?
Oh yeah, how heavy is it?
It's quite heavy. So for the next 6 months after the lady, I had to take it around to. So we had 3 parties just for the lady to be seen in the family, and everybody is like, "How heavy is this?"
Crazy. So now Kamaka is it was a shoestring production is what the information that I'm aware to. Okay, but it turned out to be a grand success, and this was by a very small crew that you had put the movie together, Kamaka. Now, when you got down to shooting it, I think it was done over a period of 3 days or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Two
The
days.
whole
Yeah, 2 days.
two
2 days.
days. So okay, so it was 2 day shoot. So when you put it together at the end of it, what was your gut instinct? Did you feel like, "ठीक है, project's over," or did you feel that yes, it was well executed?
I think after I finished the film, while we were shooting, I knew there was something good happening. But after I finished the film, I was not too sure how it'll cut together because, performance-wise, Harsh was a very subtle, like had a very, and we were in a bus, so I was not able to judge the sound quality in terms of Harsh was a very subtle performer, and Manjari was equally that bright. So that was anyway their characters also. So I was very nervous about how the performances will actually find that chemistry together.
Got
But
it.
luckily on the edit it worked, and of course on the dub we took care of a few elements that we were the actors and me were like, let's improve this. So yeah, but we never expected the film, like we knew it something good is being made, but we never expected it to like.
Fair enough. And on the heels of the success of Urne Do, you push out. On the heels of success of Khamaka, you push out. Urne Do, which is another short which has won 9 international awards, and it's been a raving success. I remember seeing the social media posts, and every other day some new screening, some new mention, and it was just phenomenal. Now, as a director, again, when you're making Urnedo, did you get a sense that you were actually sitting on like a solid topic? Because it is a very sensitive topic for the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, that I was aware. First of all, when I was approached by the foundation to make the film for their schools, I think I was immediately amazed that something like this is happening at that grassroots level in municipal schools, in schools in Pune, that someone is educating kids about good touch and bad touch. So for me,
Got
that
it.
itself was eye opening. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting, and they want a feature film which is actually talking about this cause. So I knew as a subject that there's great appeal in it, and
Hmm.
child sexual abuse, I think on social media also has been quite talked about. People are now openly coming out and talking about it.
Got it.
So that is, I knew it had the power to be a talking point. And of course, it became even more powerful when Revati stepped in and
Got it.
decided to be a part of the film because she also
Yeah.
felt for the cause. So we all did this as an honorable project. Like it was meant
Hmm.
for schools, it was meant for a foundation. So of course, the producer, Mrs. Usha Kakade, was kind enough to like let me send it to festivals where it matters,
Hmm.
especially children's film festivals, where it should
Hmm.
reach that kind of an audience. And
Hmm.
it ended up doing. I was quite surprised when it won in Japan and as a Grand Prix, like the largest children's film festival. I think the fact that it won in Japan was a big, uh, like,
Thing for
heartening
you.
moment for me. Yeah, yeah. And then of course when it won in Turkey, so that month was really special that it won in Japan and in Turkey.
Okay.
And yeah, but but there are things in Unmedo, like whenever you look at stuff, there are things that you feel you could have done better. So Unmedo is one project where I feel I could have done a bit better in terms of execution and few things that I feel I could have achieved in a different way.
Different way. Okay. So how was it working with such an experienced and a senior actress like Revati ma'am? Because I remember her from the movie Anjali very fondly because that's one movie that's
Exactly.
like very well etched in my brain. So how was it working with her? Because she's also a director. So was there a difference of opinion on the set, or was she just like,
She
okay, I'm
is
just going to be an actress?
she is totally gracious. Like she is like another level of subtlety, humility, and even if she has a point to put across, she'll put it across so beautifully that you're like, yes, yeah, yeah, I think this is a great point to accept. So things like, so she even contributed at a couple of very crucial points in the script level, which made it so
Hmm.
powerful. Then, so when you have that kind of you then you know why these people, why an actor like Revati is where she is the way she conducts herself. She knows
Hmm.
there's no budget, still she's being so like beautifully gracious in the way she in one day we shot her entire portion in one day. I really stretched her, and for her to speak in a language which is not hers, that entire Hindi speech that she had to give, so
Hmm.
it was tough, but she really did it.
So you've
I mean,
got the
it was
Filmfare
over.
for Kamaka.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Khamaka.
So you got the Filmfare for Kamaka, and then Urne Dod bags in about 9 international awards. Okay, and then on the heels of that, you give the third wicket, which is, Free, Fair, and Fearless, a short which bags you the award from the National Institute of Rural Development of India, from the Government of India. So, how did you come up with this idea of free, fair, and fearless?
So this was actually something that came to me in terms of the script came to me, the project came to me. It was the idea was initiated by the SP of Beed district of Maharashtra just before the Maharashtra state elections. So he
Okay.
wanted a film which created awareness that the police force is with you when you want to go and vote for whomever you want to go and vote for. So it was to create that awareness of being free, fair, and fearless. So
Okay.
it was a very quick project. And again, I decided to do this because I felt there's a good cause here. So I jumped in on a bus, drove down to this village. We were 4 of us. It was all overnight. Again, in a matter of 10 days, we finished the project and gave it to them. So it was done that quickly with the actors from the village,
Mm-hmm.
everything from
Okay.
the village.
So, well, is it fair for me to assume that your upbringing influences your style of telling stories?
To some level, yes. To
Okay.
some level. But now, for instance, that I'm trying to do stuff which gets me out of my comfort zone. So, for instance, this film that I've just made in lockdown, Parda, it's based on an extramarital affair.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that typically I would say 7, 10 years back I wouldn't choose such a subject, but now I'm choosing. Like I want to tell stories which are more human, where there are more grey characters. So
Okay. So, has Aarti Bagdi finally dropped anchor as successful short film director, or is that dream of one feature film still there?
of course, a feature is a feature. Feature everyone will dream. Even an actor director will dream. We have written so many feature film scripts in the last few years. One of them has to see the light of the day.
Okay. Well, we keep our fingers crossed. Why one? As many as see the way day, that's going to be
Yes,
good.
I agree. But one should be the starting point. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Well, yeah, it always starts with the first, right?
Yeah.
Like you said,
एक चालू हो जाए ना फिर उसके बाद मजा आ जाएगा. But ठीक है, I'm enjoying this short film process also actually because
okay.
it's very liberating. Yeah, there's no commercial compilations. You're actually doing purely love for storytelling and love for the craft and love for performances. Love for actually putting a film together. There's no like कि अभी गाना चाहिए, अभी comedy scene चाहिए, नहीं वो सब कुछ नहीं है. तुम बना रहे हो तो
But
तुमको.
but love does not always pay the bills.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah,
So
you
then,
end
how
up doing
long?
gigs. You end up doing gigs. So I did this gig with Amazon Prime. I did these 19 promotional short films. So you do take up projects which actually pay your bills also. So, like
Okay.
for instance, a documentary on the Jain monk on Vidyodaya, well, that was a paid gig.
Okay.
Things like that, yeah.
All right.
Bombardier was a paid gig. So.
All right. So moving away from what you have achieved and done so far, let's get a little more into a different state. So you've done this whole trek to the Everest base camp. Other than figuring out that you were perfectly fit to do something like this, what was your real takeaway from the trip?
Wow, you brought up Everest base camp. I didn't see that coming.
Why, you're not
Yeah.
going to see a lot of questions coming in this show.
Yeah, so it was a lifetime kind of a memory and something that I'll never forget. And it was, I think, the prepping for it was equally a crucial time for me. Like, because I've never been like such a fitness freak kind of a person. I've been a very yoga and do my flow, go in the flow kind of a person. So this was actually actually strengthening yourself to take that trek. So yeah, it was great. It was. I mean, it is what all mountains. I mean, it's. I think going to the mountains is the perfect balm for any person in the creative field. I feel so, and walking and just walking and walking and walking through and just being in that moment and being in that step and not caring about anything else. Your phone is disconnected and things like that. So it's just a great space to be in. So, and the group of people that were in that Everest Base Camp. It was great to do with our entire group. Like, I think we were really, me and my sister Shalini, we went out
Uh-huh.
together. So and another cousin Shelly. So it was great to meet a whole new bunch of lovely people.
So tell me something. When was the last time you were violent?
Violent. Oh God. I'm always violent with my husband.
So should I even ask that was the violence justified and were you correct or not?
No, I'm joking. But I don't know. They was so violent. I'm trying to remember. I mean, you mean abusive violence, like verbal violence, or physical
Hey,
violence?
whatever your term for
What is
violence,
the
whatever
standard?
your explanation for violence is. Like if you ask me when was I violent the last time, like maybe 10 minutes before the show started, there's this mosquito that was getting on my nerves, and it was absolutely justified because dengue's on the rise in the city. So definitely no discussion over there.
So, interestingly, the documentary that I did, which is Vidyodaya, which the core thing was non-violence. To practice non-violence is the biggest virtue that one you can have, and I seriously lacked that, I guess.
All right, so we have this one question coming in from Kunal. He says, Aarti, you come across as a real life storyteller. Something that you pick from your day to day real life event stories.
That's
So
true.
is okay.
Thank you. I'm glad you observed that. And yeah, I'm the Rishikesh Mukherjee, Basu Chatterjee kind of a.
Okay then. And then he says, have you ever thought about making a movie on your ABC trip?
Making a movie, yes, on some hike, not necessarily ABC trip, but yeah,
Okay.
some hike for sure. Yeah. I have a couple of stories going on in my head. Yeah. ABC trip will
Okay.
be very difficult to actually achieve to go shoot there.
Oh well, yeah, here he's backing you up. He says creative people are stressed mostly but rarely violent. How would Kunal know?
How could I know? That
Well, so he does have a streak of creativity in him, but we'll leave it at that.
yeah.
Okay. So the great pandemic of 2020 has taken over all our lives, and everyone's doing something or the other. Mostly, what I see people around me are attending a lot of classes or giving a lot of gyan. Okay.
Correct.
So it's either you're teaching or you're attending, and I've seen some who are doing both. Okay.
Correct.
But amidst all this, you find this whole 100-day sketch project where you challenge yourself to make one sketch every day for 100 days. How did you
Right.
land up in this challenge?
So the thing is, around 2-3 years back, I saw this friend of mine who was also my colleague at Rajshri, Kavya. She did a 100-day watercolor project, and she was posting
Oh,
not every
wow.
day. Yeah, she did randomly. I think she was doing in weekends and all. And I was amazed that she actually came up with this idea, or wherever it must have been floating online also. And
Yeah.
she was doing it so regularly, and of course, she is amazing. So I was like, shit, I want to do something like this at some point in my life. And when the lockdown began, I'd always been attracted to art as a child, but I had never pursued it, because typically I just went off into science and all that nonsense I did in my life. So, so I just felt that okay, now is the time that I should possibly see if I have the art element that I think I have.
Got
I'm
it.
attracted to. And then I decided to explore. So every day I would pick up one piece that I like and I would do. And it just slowly, gradually, as anything that you practice started getting better. So, and then at some point, someone wanted to start buying. Like the first purchase was done by my sister's some brother-in-law, my cousin. Yeah, he wanted to buy for his wife. I said, why do you want to buy? Just take it. No, 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 no. I will buy. I said, okay, to buy. The first to happen. Then my friend from SIMC, the first friend from my college, like batchmate, like not friends as such. So Manisha, she insisted on buying one girl, library girl. I said, okay, fine. You want to pay? I mean, why should I say no? Like, and then, like, 9, 10, 11, 12 big gaye, and then now be. I said, okay, let me start pushing now. And then dhire I started pushing after I touched 80, 85, I started pushing a Pinterest link around that if you
Okay.
want to, if you're keen to buy, please look at this. And then it touched 35. Now it's actually nearing 40 with a few orders that have come in.
So then what was the auction? Was it surprising to be in an auction, like, out of the blue, you're just doing sketching for a challenge and then you get into an auction? How does that go?
No, it felt nice that people want to own it. People actually want to
Yeah.
pay for it. That it felt really, really nice. It gave me confidence. At some point, I'm like, but 1/3 of it has been bought by my batchmates. And I'm like, okay, they're being kind, they're being sweet. And then sometimes you buy, and people are buying because they want to buy. So then you feel,
Yeah.
okay, maybe it's really good. So you keep doubting, that is it that good that people are buying?
All right. So you've plowed through this testing time and through a tough movie industry, that is often soaked and covered in this whole really thick layer of glitz and glamour. That is what the perception is outside. Many people that I know of who joined the industry right after we finished off college, I had some friends who made a beeline for the industry. They have given up and they've moved on to doing something or the other. And there are some who still keep going, like yourself. So, what is it that drives you to do this?
I think for the love of storytelling. I think the love of storytelling, love of getting a team together, a lot of different creative energies coming together, and believing in one vision and
Mhm.
making something together. I think all that works. Of course, it's just not love of storytelling. So then I could be writing a book also. I could take her on a solo project also. But I love working with actors. I love working with with my DOP. I love working with music. I love working with all elements of creativity that come make like it's such a film is such an amalgamation of all creative forms, and it is like I feel the highest satisfaction you can get out of for your own creativity at whatever level you have. And then you keep, I think, apart from that, I think films is a very for me films is a very spiritual medium. I feel you have the power to become a better person through it all, because you're actually going through so many life stories in every project. You're going through so many character arcs. You're being like god to so many little nuances in every script of yours, that somewhere along you want to be that better person in your life also, because kind of, so I think you slowly, steadily become a better person also through this process. I think that's also one of the reasons I fell in love with filmmaking.
Okay, so it's mostly the drive is mostly the love for the art form
Art,
that you have
for
in
the
telling
craft and
stories,
art. Yeah,
the
yeah.
craft and the art. Okay. Here's one more interesting question for you. You ever thought about making a movie on human trafficking, because it's a huge concern in India? I ask this because I feel a filmmaker like you can do justice to such a sensitive subject.
Yeah, human trafficking being women and children, only children, men, like what? What kind of human trafficking is he talking about?
Well, I think it's a
General.
very he. Yeah, I think it will be very general. I'm pretty sure he didn't expect that he'll come back with more specific questions.
Yeah, but like, it would be a quite a great tale to tell in
Or he
terms
says
of.
both.
Sorry. I haven't I haven't worked on any subject yet.
Hmm.
I would like to, I think. I haven't thought of
You haven't
human
put thought
trafficking
into it.
per se. Yeah, I haven't thought.
Okay, especially girl children things.
I haven't thought of it. But it'll be nice to do something. Nice as in be an eye
Interesting to
opener.
look into it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Because I
other
didn't
than
love that film Lion.
sorry, say
Lion, no?
again.
There was that film, no? Uh, that little kid who's with Nicole Kidman,
I
and
haven't seen
he's
that.
transported to Australia. This Indian kid who goes to Australia. Very, very beautiful. Again, on trafficking one. No, it was more on first trafficking and then it becomes adoption. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I haven't worked on any such subject. Yeah.
Okay. So, other than making a comfortable living, what's your incentive to continue in this industry? Is it, I mean, you already said the art form, but then, you still, like I said, art doesn't pay the bills. So
No, I do hope to make a film that will end up earning 300 crores.
nice. So you have a number in the mind.
I spent 15 crores on it and it ends up earning 300 crores. That's fine.
So you have essentially seen the evolution of the industry. I'm pretty sure when you started, they were using film, and now it's become to, OTT subscription based with, say a company like Netflix, which has a production house, which is unheard of, or even people making independent movies or stuff like that. You've seen the shift in the industry. Do you think it's much more easier to get in the industry for newcomers now than before, or you feel it's more competitive now?
It is easier and it is competitive, both, because you have to be. The easier part is that because there's so many OTTs, that means there are that much more content out there, that much more need for content out there. You need to go out and make, and not everybody is driving towards OTT. Like some people still revere the theaters, like the traditional film families still revere the theaters. But OTT is the next now. In the last few months, the way films have been releasing, such a backlog of films that were supposed to come out in theaters are now coming out in OTTs. And I can't imagine quite a few of the films that have released, I can't imagine they would have done well in the theaters. So I'm glad
Okay.
they've come out directly on the OTT. So like I was just discussing this with Arun in the morning, that what is like, I mean, that whole box office parameter is gone now, at least this time. Whenever the theater comes up, it comes up. But it's now you're just like, okay, you word of mouth, if you've liked it, you've talked about it to your friend, and then and then the friend ends up watching it, or you read a review and you end up watching it. But actually to pay and go is
What
that
it
is
is.
what we knew and is not there now.
So before we started, you were worried if you'd have anything more to say than 30 minutes. We're just about closing 1 hour, 16 minutes.
Oh,
So
good. Rahul,
you
you
do
are
tell
a great
stories.
engaging person. What to say, man? It's so easy to talk to you.
So you do know how to spin stories. Well, in closing, would you have anything to say to students who are now sitting on the fence with should we go for the creative fields or not? Because you've been through it all.
Yeah, so I think you should go if you have the love for it, and you should be prepared that it can be a long, arduous journey like mine. But
18 years, 18 years. That's
yeah,
about pretty much the entire lifetime you've lived to reach to your board exams.
yeah, exactly. So if you have that, I mean, you should have patience. So that one of the few things again that I learned from Surat, so the day one that I joined him, that patience is going to get you everywhere in this industry. Then even when I joined Subhash Ghai, the first day he said 3 things you need in this industry is patience, patience, and patience. So you have to, sometimes you have to wait it out. Sometimes you don't have to wait it out. It will suddenly happen. So
Perfect. Thank you so much, Aarti. This has been wonderful talking to you, and thank you for taking time out and sharing your story with us. And I think we've got a lot of points to think about, a lot of thoughts to think about. So, penny for your thoughts. I wish I could hand over some pennies to you. But thank
okay.
you so much. It's been fun.
Thank you so much, Rahul. I really 1 hour and 15 minutes. God, I really hope I
1 hour
did
to
more.
18.
Yeah, 18. Thank you so much. It was such a privilege doing this with you, and you've been a dear friend. And thank you for everything, and thanking you for letting me share so much with you.
No, you're welcome. And the next week we're going to have a wonderful. I don't know if I should say this now. We're gonna have wonderful Alifia Calcutta who's got about I think 5 or 6 degrees before she's gotten doing what she does, and she does this insane travel company where when you're sick and tired of what she says the regular trips, and when you're looking for something beyond that, that's when people come to me. So that's going to be exciting. And she's got 6 degrees or 5 degrees, some weird stuff like that. So that's like even crazier. So
Wow,
it's nuts. So
nice.
we'll talk soon. Thank you so much, Aarti. It's been great. And I'll be in touch. And thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.